Hello and welcome to Reykjavík Grapevine's Newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm an editor-in-chief at Reykjavík Grapevine. Polly is somewhere around here also, of course. I'm standing in front of my homeboy, Jón Sigurðsson, or Jón the President, because we're going to talk about democracy today and our elections. I've got a lot to say about that. We also have news about UFO. Well, not so much though, but it looks like it. So, before we start, of course, we have publishing. We're publishing our next issue in 8th of October. I want to tell you a little bit about it because we sometimes forget to mention that we are actually a magazine, and perhaps when you don't see us for a week or so, we're basically busy doing paper. So the thing is that we are, of course, doing this here. This is the last elections. This is like people that are from foreign, like are immigrants in politics. And we also do like the Reykjavík Grapevine West of Iceland. And the thing is that everyone can of course subscribe, and now we're offering 30% discount on subscriptions. And all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter. The link is down below. And of course, one lucky subscriber will receive a prize. So, what's in the box? That's what everybody's thinking about. This is our volcano box, actually. And of course, both of these papers are there. We also have my absolute favorite. This is hraun, or lava. I think this is just a lava stone. Then we have salt, hot volcano salt, by the way. And of course, on fire. This is a fantastic book about all the eruptions in the Reykjanes Peninsula. And this is a dramatic story in general. So, but of course, we're just going to go straight into it. It's politics, UFOs, and bad weather. It's always bad weather, but I mean, so it goes. First of all, the big news, of course, after the elections this time was that, and this was in The Guardian, this was in BBC, this was basically all around in the world news, that the first time in European history, there were more women in the parliament than men. Now, this was wonderful news. Well, until we had to recount actually the votes in the northwest of Iceland. Northwest of Iceland is, for example, Borgarnes. A lot of you that visited Iceland know exactly where that is. But the thing is, of course, there was like these elections. Before I go into that, they were a little bit tight when it came to a lot of things. For example, there were only just a handful of votes that were between the left Greens and the middle party in the south of Iceland, and it was even worse in the northwest. So they decided to actually recount, and the recount was very different. There was like it was a little bit of shift, but it was not like it was like 12 votes or something like that. But it had a very dramatic effect. Because in Iceland we have this supplementary, I wrote it down just to remember it, now I can't find it. Supplementary seats. Iceland have, like, if you are voted in one constituency, then perhaps the next party will get a man supplementary seat from another constituency, which is perhaps from the northeast, or however that is. So this recount changed all of that. So it meant that 8 MPs that thought they were going to the parliament, they went out, and another 8 people came in. But there were no difference in like it was always like, for example, a young woman from the Pirate Party fell out, and an older man from the same party came in instead. So this meant that we were actually with the exact same numbers as the last time when we were having, then we have like 47% of women, but we went over 50% before that. So it was not fake news or anything. It was basically the recount changed everything, and it was bad because, I mean, how to like tell all the media in the world, like, well, we kind of messed up because we couldn't really count the votes correctly. But there was another thing that came out of it, and this was much more serious. The thing is that one MP from the Pirate Party noticed that there wasn't any seals on the boxes on these, like, where the votes were kept. And the people in Borgarnes, they was counting the votes. They put all of the votes inside of like a locked room, but didn't seal it. And then they went home to sleep, basically. This meant that the boxes were, well, nobody saw them, and there was like a serious discussions about was there an opportunity to change the votes, because there was a lot of change when it came to this, and other constituencies, when they recounted their votes, they were exactly the same, but not in this, not in the northwest of Iceland. So this basically meant that well, the votes were in risk, and this is not good, because especially if you're from the US, you know this, of course, like stop the vote, and like if people stop believing in the democracy, we have a serious problem, of course. But the thing is that this was not as bad, perhaps, as it looked at first. For example, there were cameras all around. The boxes were in this locked room, and it seems that nobody messed with them. But it's clear in the Icelandic laws, you have to seal it. Simple as that. There is no way around it. So it's possible that they actually broke the law when they didn't seal it. So this means that the Pirate Party have actually pressed charges because of this. The Middle Party has done the same. MP that fell out when these changes happened. He was very pissed because of this, because, well, he lost his job, of course, and he pressed charges to the police. But the other one, he wants to repeat the vote in that constituency. Sorry if I'm saying that wrongly, but it's like it's a little bit hard word for me to say. But I hope you understand where I'm coming from. The thing is that I mean, this house here, this is our parliament, of course. They are now trying to figure out what happened, and we are waiting for more information. But it does not seem as bad as it looked in the beginning, to be honest. So it's becoming it's not becoming the farce that we thought it was going to be, but it's still there are unanswered questions. When you go into the parliament itself, of course, the coalition helped, and not only that, they crushed it. The Progressive Party, or Framsóknarflokkurinn, they had a huge victory tonight, on Saturday night, when we were electing. This meant that basically that this basically meant Polly. On the election night, the Progressive Party killed it, of course, and then, of course, VG, which is the left Greens, they have the Prime Minister, which is Katrín Jakobsdóttir. They didn't fare too well, but they didn't fare that badly either. So it was actually just fine how all of that went. And also the Independence Party, which is the biggest party in Iceland, they were the same, but they lost 1 or 2% of their from last time, but they had the same numbers of MPs. So the government actually went from 35 to 37 MPs. So it was quite clear what the voters wanted in these elections. They were not. Nobody was asking for any difference at all, basically. They just wanted the same coalition. The smaller parties were a huge letdown. The Socialist Party, for example, I told you about that before. They were polling quite high for a bit of time, but then in the end of just days before the elections, they were going lower and lower and lower until they ended up with 4.1%, and that meant that they didn't get one man at the parliament. Other parties were also just. It was not good. It was we could actually state the claim that the voters were completely rejecting the minority, and they are hurt. So the government are incredibly strong right now in Iceland, and we could say that things are very Yeah, it's like the stability in politics is also a big thing in Iceland right now, and it's obvious that the stability is here, and it's quite something. Icelanders want this. To other news, a UFO. A UFO turned out to be an Atlas V space aircraft from NASA. The light is when we have a video of this actually. There was a man from Hafnarfjörður, my hometown, Magnús Sveinsson. He's actually, he works at an airport himself, and he saw this while he was walking his dogs, and he caught it on video and allowed us to show this. And it was quite a display actually. It was for 10 minutes. Icelanders could see this, and it was like a very bright, like dark sky, but it was very easy to see everything up there. And this the light that is coming from this V-shaped thing is basically this spaceship is dumping the fuel, and the sun is lighting it up. And it's quite a display. But there were like a lot of videos and a lot of pictures on social media yesterday where people were posting pictures of this and videos, of course. And they saw this for 10 minutes, and this was a few hours, 3 hours after the shot when it came over the southern part of Iceland. And then, of course, this was also seen in many places in Europe. Perhaps someone that is watching here saw this yesterday or know about it, but in the beginning we thought this was actually, I mean, it was very odd to see, and people were like, what the hell is it? And it was classified as a UFO in the beginning, but of course it's not a UFO. Also, crazy weather. The Met Office, there are like yellow and orange warnings today. The worst warnings are actually in the west of Iceland. The Met Office say that this is a very odd weather, mostly because the wind is coming from the northwest, so it means that it goes like straight into the fjords in the Westfjords. This means basically that the wind is gonna be hellish. Like, I don't know if you've been in a bad weather in the Westfjords, but it is not a place you want to be at in bad weather. How am I? There's always something, Polly, right? There we have it. Cut it. Cut it. So the thing is that the winter is starting very early in Iceland right now. We have, of course, winters have been early as the 1st of September, but these storms are coming earlier than often. We are now, we had a storm last weekend, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Icelanders, of course, are very used to bad weathers, but this basically means that if you are, for example, traveling in Iceland right now, you really need to keep one eye on the forecast. You can find this very easily on safetravel.is. But the weather is definitely going to be a factor. Right now it's fine, it's grey, but it's windy, and so it goes. But later today it's going to be absolutely crazy. But it's only going to be like pretty bad here, but it's going to be really bad in the Westfjords. And for example, yesterday everything was there was snowing, a lot of snow and wind, and one jeep even ended up in the waters close to Ísafjörður, which is the biggest town in the Westfjords. And not only that, there was a pass-buyer that saw the car go in, and he actually jumped into the freezing ocean, swam to the guy, and saved him out of the car. I mean, these guys from the Westfjords are tough, I have to say. That's a very heroic moment, and nobody got hurt, but the car, of course, is completely demolished. And so you have to be very careful in this weather, of course. But we hope it's not going to get too bad, and this will be it. And then we have like a mild autumn, but we are, of course, we do not trust that at all. So this is it for our newscast today. Thank you for watching, of course. Like and subscribe if you want. Remember, of course, this offer. If you wanted to join with the newsletter, you get a ton of free stuff, perhaps, and basically just you will get a lot of information about what we're doing and what's going on in Iceland and so on. It's a very convenient way, actually, and yeah, I think that's it. Polly, you want to add something to it? You're good. See you later. Hvað segir þið?